as everybody's trickling in.
Perfect. No, mascarilla. ¿Sí? ¿Quién? Tú. Súper, sí.
No, me puse una rebanada.
Ah, sí, ¿verdad? Yo estaba haciendo.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our cooking class today on a Saturday morning. But we are very blessed, and it's going to be a special class today. And I have the pleasure, muy buenos días, of introducing Isabela, who's going to introduce some special guests we have in our class today. And I'm so excited. So go for it, Isabela.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you on a Saturday. We normally see you at night during the week, but this is a very special class. I have two very special guests with me. And if you're joining back in, if you're tuning back into the Northgate classes, you already know me. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm a food photographer, I'm a food stylist, and I'm a chef. And I'm very blessed that I get to combine my two passions and turn it into a career. So I'm very excited to be here cooking with you guys. And today is a very special class because we are cooking my great-grandmother, which she's not here, but my great-grandmother, mi tita Esther, her empanada de frijol dulce recipe, okay? And we're also ending the class with a café de olla con piquete. But before we talk more about food, let me introduce you. This is my grandmother, mi nina. Saluda a todos.
Hi.
Puedes hablar español también. Y luego mi mamá, Erika, which you might already seen in some of the classes. She's normally behind the scenes and she helps us set up with the beautiful decor and the kitchen. And they're here cooking with me because this recipe is a mi tita Esther. So we are 3 generations, so she would be the 4th generation. She was the first lady, and we miss her a lot. And she would make this recipe during the holidays. It's like we would wait all year for her to make this recipe. So when we talked about a holiday recipe, I immediately knew that I wanted to cook her empanadas de frijol dulce because I know that they're not very common. There's something like a lot of people haven't heard of them. A lot of people ask me on my Instagram, what is frijol dulce? What does it mean? And it's basically, es un dulce de frijol. So it's basically, we are gonna sweeten frijoles con clavo, cloves, piloncillo, and that's it. Well, it has obviously some steps towards it, right? But es un dulce de piloncillo, así como hacen dulce de camote, dulce de calabaza, es un dulce de frijol, a base de piloncillo. So we're really excited to get cooking on that. And then what else? And here's a picture of her. This is us 4 many moons ago. I think I was like 1, right? Maybe.
No, less.
Less. Maybe I was like 6 months. I don't know. But that's all 4 of us. And I know that she's here cooking with us as well. And she's going to guide us through. And then I have to mention this. So I sat down my tita Esther one day in the kitchen because these 2 ladies have many other talents. They cook really well, cocinan muy rico, but they are not the most fanatics of the kitchen.
No, I like desserts. I don't like the.
She likes pastries. She likes to eat other things. She likes to eat the food, but she cooks really well too. So this is mi nina. I call her Mimi. But this is she likes to cook too. But this recipe is something that I remember mi tita cocinaba todas las navidades. Like she would make batches and batches of them. She would give them.
Used to fight over them.
Yeah, and people would fight. The family would fight over them because some people came over and then los parientes de aquí, los parientes de allá, and she would give them las empanadas de frijol dulce. And she would also use this masa for picadillo, empanadas de picadillo as well. So this, if you got this masa down, you can basically fill it up with anything, I would say. Lo puedes rellenar de lo que sea, ¿verdad? Ya sea picadillo, carne deshebrada, sí. So you can do a bunch of things with this masa, okay? So we're gonna get started, but before that, because I have a lot to say, we're actually gonna cook together this recipe. Esta receta, this recipe is originally from el sur de Baja California. So we're from Tijuana, but my tita's parents, my great-great-grandparents were from Santa Rosalia. which is a little town in the south of Baja California. So this recipe is something super native to southern Baja, okay? So that's why if you haven't heard from it, maybe because you don't have tis parientes en la Baja del Sur, but this is a recipe from over there, okay? So let's get started. Vamos a empezar con los frijoles. So we're gonna start with the dulce de frijol, okay? So in here, I have 6 cups. Ahorita lo vas a echar aquí, okay? I have 6 cups of cooked pinto beans, and I like to cook them in the slow cooker. I only add a tablespoon of salt and water, and that's it. So no tienen sabor, no tienen sazón, o sea, no sazón, no tienen seasoning ni nada así. It's just plain cooked beans, okay? So 6 cups of cooked pinto beans. Puedes echar aquí. Y me puedes prender la estufa. Ese, ajá. Y échalos, mini. Oh, and in here, in your pot or pan, whatever, you are going to have heating up 2 tablespoons of canola oil or vegetable oil, okay? Because we're gonna cook them in here. Okay, perfect. So in this frijol dulce, okay, perfect. It's on medium. Can you go a little higher? Okay, perfect. Okay, so it's on medium-high heat, and this is the 6 cups of frijol, and we're going to add 1.5 cone of piloncillo, okay? So this is flavor over here. Okay, so, and we're also going to add 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon. Yeah, you can do it closer. You can show them. Y ojo con esto. So this is ground cloves, but we're only gonna do a little pinch, okay? Because a little pinch goes a long way, okay, you guys? So yo le voy a echar una pizquita de clavo. You can always season a bit to taste at the end, okay? But I added, and we're also gonna add 1 cup of sugar, okay? Perfecto. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the heat a little bit higher because I want you guys to see. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of water. Okay, so that's what it's going to start to look like. And I'm just going to add, le voy a echar un chorrito de agua, so just a little bit of water so the piloncillo can start dissolving and cooking in the, can you pass me that? Perfect. In this mixture, I'm gonna cook down until the piloncillo dissolves. For about 20 to 25 minutes, I wanna cook down the liquid from the frijoles. Ooh, ya huele a mi tita, huele a Navidad. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It kind of looks like baked beans right now, or barbecue beans, que también le encantaban los barbecue beans. And then we're gonna cook this down, and I'm gonna cover it so it continues to cook, and at the end, we're gonna smash it. Y este va a ser nuestro dulce de frijol. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab, we're gonna cook him for about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm gonna cook him like that. Perfect. Okay, so here I have my bean masher or mashed potato masher. Okay, entonces la masa. So I'm gonna do, so I'll tell you what the recipe is, but in here I have half of the flour, okay, because we needed a huge bowl, and I already have half of the masa already made because I wanted to show you because it has to rest a little bit in the fridge, okay? Pero aquí tenemos, so recipe calls for 8 cups of all-purpose flour, okay? Harina, all-purpose flour. In here, and then we also have 2 tablespoons of sugar in the masa and 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Y me va a hacer falta el huevo. Okay. So I'm gonna make a little hole. Just gonna make a little hole in the masa. In the flour. Just like that. This egg needs to be beaten before, but I'm just gonna beat it in here. The egg is beaten right there. And then we are going to add 1.5 cups of Crisco, que es manteca vegetal. Vegetable shortening. Okay, you guys, we're gonna do 1.5 cups. La pregunta es, can you use lard? Yes, you can. You can also use lard. This is 1/2 cup. You can also use lard. I like to use vegetable shortening because that's what she used, but I've also made empanadas with manteca, which is delicious. But then if you add, it wouldn't be vegetarian. Okay, so you want to keep it vegetarian, we're going to do this. And then, okay, mire, ahora, since I have half of the recipe here, but recipe calls for 8 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups Crisco, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, and then 2 cups of the secret ingredient, Topo Chico. Okay, she would use this. So instead of adding baking soda, I think she would use, instead of adding baking soda and agua natural, she would add Topo Chico. So you're gonna measure 1 cup in here. It's 2 cups.
What's the purpose of doing the hole in the?
I stepped the big light. The purpose of doing the hole is also like when you're making pasta. It's just like a little, all your ingredients are gonna be set in the middle, and you're gonna vas a moldear o vas a amasar to the sides. So it's just like a little, I don't know what you would call it. Like a little hole, and then it's just to have your ingredients set in the middle and don't have them, so they incorporate better, okay? Okay, ahora sí, I'm gonna take off my rings. Y ahora sí le vas a echar esta. And I'm gonna knead with my hands. You can also do the KitchenAid, but I really like to feel the texture. I feel like this is one of those things. It's one of those things that I feel like you need to feel it with your hands in order to see when the masa is done. Okay, like tamales. So I'm gonna start just by mixing like this. Y ahora sí le puedes ir echando de esta chorrito. Medita sea como en un bowl gigante, sí, ¿verdad? Pero un chorrito nada más así como en medio. Ajá, así está bien, súper. Remember, you guys, don't be scared of getting your hands dirty. Okay, just make sure they're clean before you. Okay, ahora sí, síguele, otro chorrito más. Hasta ahí, así está bien, muy bien. And you can see that it starts to bubble in here. Okay, se empieza a pegar la masa, so the masa, the dough starts to become like a glue. It starts to become incorporated. It starts kind of like flaky, but then okay, and remember to get all your dry ingredients from the bottom. Just like that. Look at that, it's starting to look like dough. Se parece un poco a la masa de tortillas de harina because it is a flour-based dough. So it does kind of look like for flour tortillas. Tortillas de harina. Okay, Mini, ahora sí échale el otro chorrito. Échaselo. Eso, and you can see that it bubbles, okay? So this is gonna help our masa be flaky. Y ninguna quiso amasar. La hacía poner a amasar y nadie se quiso ensuciar las manos. That's why I'm the cook in the family. Look at that. Just like that. I'm the good one? Okay, thank you. That's what the masa should look like. No. My little sous chefs. Okay. Okay,
So look at that. This is what the masa is supposed to look like. This is the consistency. It will be a bit sticky, pero cuando vayamos a amasar, when we're about to knead them with the rolling pin, we're going to need a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick like that, okay? So this is what the masa looks like. Just make sure that it's completely kneaded, that you don't get any chunk of Crisco vegetable oil. Just like that. Okay. Y bueno, traigo las manos sucias de masa. Pero ya, you can see. See, that's what I was gonna say. That the masa is going in the fridge for about 30 minutes. We're gonna make little balls like these, a little bit bigger. And I'll show you because I already have them pre-made. And they're gonna rest for about 30 minutes. So this is what I would do. So this is what your masa looks like. You're gonna make about 20 of these, maybe a little bit bigger. So I like to put them on a baking sheet with a silicone pad so they don't stick. And these have been in the fridge for about 30 minutes, but I do like to cover them with a damp towel, a damp paper towel or un trapito mojado húmedo así. That's what I like to do. I'm gonna go wash my hands and then we're gonna check on our frijol and then la señora Erika va a venir a amasar. Muy bien, Miguel, dale vueltas. And I feel like one of those recipes, y lo voy a tener que decir en español porque así es como me sale mejor. I feel like ya lo vamos a destapar. I'm gonna uncover it so the liquid starts to evaporate. Pero esta es una de esas recetas que siento que saben más ricas cuando las cocinas con alguien más, cuando cocinas como en equipo, cuando cocinas como, ¿verdad? Siento que es una receta de esas recetas como tamales, de que te juntas muchas personas a hacer estas empanadas o te juntas a hacer tamales de res o sí. Siento que sabe más rico al final. Aparte porque tiene el sazón de muchas personas, pero yeah, like it. We're gonna start mashing. ¿Quieres empezar? Sí. ¿Puedes? ¿Te acuerdas cómo hacerle? Es como un facial gratis. El vaporcito. Entonces el piloncillo, the piloncillo is still, it's still melting, so it's still, and it has its shape. It hasn't lost its shape. So that means that you need to continue to cook your frijoles, okay? Ya te puedes casar.
Descasar.
Okay, so we're gonna continue to mash them a bit. Delicioso. And I love that all the flavors today are
delicioso.
Huelen a la valenita. When I was testing the recipe, because I hadn't made it in a really long time, my mom was at my house and we were testing the recipe and she ate one and I'm like, oh, I don't know if they're the same. I thought they were the same, but I needed her to taste them because she obviously had more experience in eating them and tasting them. And she's like, oh my God, she closed her eyes and she's like, oh my God, I'm back in my childhood years. So to me, that's like the best compliment a person can give me. When I don't know if it's creepy, but I don't know if somebody else does it as well. I love to, when I cook something, I love to see the people's faces when they're eating it. I don't know if it's uncomfortable to people, but I'm like waiting to see their reaction. And that's, to me, is priceless. Like that's one of the reasons I do what I do. Allow them to continue to continue to cook and the liquid evaporates. ¿Quieres venir a amasar? Well, that's still cooking. I'll show you how it ends up looking because it will dry up because that's what you want. It's kind of like it's como un frijol refrito, like fried beans, mashed beans, but a little bit thicker, and it gets a little darker too, the color. Okay. And here we're this away, yes. We're gonna work on a floured surface, you guys. Any holiday favorites or any recipes that your grandmother or still makes or used to make that remind you of the holidays? ¿Tú, Maribel? ¿Qué receta de tu abuelita o de tu mamá o de alguien de tu familia que hacían que te gustaba de Navidad?
El pollo relleno.
¿Pollo relleno? Uy, ¿de qué lo rellenaban?
De carne molida, igual que el pavo,
¡Qué rico!
pero era pollo.
¡Qué rico! That sounds really good. We were talking about that the other day. I made a whole roasted chicken, and my husband's like, "Can we just have chicken instead of turkey on Thanksgiving?" And I'm like, "We can, but I really like turkey, but I don't know. It was super juicy, and it ended up looking really, really pretty." He's like, "We should just have chicken," and I'm like, "Maybe we should one year." Qué rico. ¿Tú, Mini, otra receta o una receta de tu mamá? Esta receta de tu mamá o de tu... So this is my great-grandmother's, recipe. Es que I didn't meet her, so that's why to me this is my tita. De picadillo.
Buñuelos.
Buñuelos.
Made it with my buñuelos. Tamales.
Tamales. Sí, tamales. She would make, the only thing that now I like that I didn't used to like, que no me gustaba antes, que le ponían aceituna negra todo. But now I like them. Like I grew up and I like them. I don't mind them. Pero I remember that. Okay, want to come over? No te tienes que ir, mi mamá. Okay. She thinks she's on national TV right now.
Not me.
Not her. Not you. Her. Okay, agarras harina. Y la vas a echar aquí. Eso. Good. Y vas a agarrar una bolita de estas. Okay, la vas a poner aquí. Hi, bolita. And then I also like to add a little bit of more flour on top of it because so it doesn't stick to the rolling pin. ¿Sí me veo? ¿Salgo? No, no importa. Está bien, me vamos para acá. Okay. Okay, ahora vas a agrandar. So you're going to make this little ball, you're going to make it bigger. Okay, and you can grab it. We're gonna go so like that. Ajá, exactamente. And don't be scared to actually get into it. Like that, exactly. And you can. It's a very easy. No, and they don't end up being a circle. They're not perfect. You can definitely cut them with a cookie cutter if you want, but I honestly like that they're all different. Te voy a dar poquito, nada más para hacerla un poquito más grande. Yeah, a lot of people are scared of the masa. They want it to be perfect circle, and you just have to get into it, just like that. So let's do another more for practice. Oh, no más. Okay, continue. Any questions, you guys, about this recipe? I know maybe all of you are waiting for that piquete. People are asleep. And a lot of people are asleep, that's true. No, they could be in their pajamas watching the class. Ooh,
We have a big class today, so I think there's a lot of people that aren't asleep.
A lot of people are not asleep. Si son mañaneros como yo, this is like, for me, this is like mediodía. So this is like, I've already been asleep for half a day. Okay, so I'm gonna get my canola oil started and we're gonna fry these guys. Okay? Esa ya está perfecta. No, no te sientes, quédate aquí. She wants to leave, she wants to run away, you guys. Okay. Even.
Yes, they're happy. They said it was a great surprise on this Saturday morning to wake up to an invitation. Thank you. Son unas mujeronas.
Sí, al rato todas. Okay, so this is. Okay, so this. No sé si Mario quieres agarrar y enseñar aquí. Okay, así se ve el dulce de frijol. So this is what it looks like, okay? You can see it's kind of like a paste. Es como un frijol super refrito, like a super fried bean, but it is a bit sticky because of all that piloncillo, look. Super sticky, okay? Eso lo vamos a pasar para acá. Let that cook. Okay. Estas empanadas, so these empanadas, this is the filling of your empanadas, okay? And we're, se quedó a medias, no, just kidding. Se quedó a medias, no es cierto. Okay, what we're gonna do is you're gonna, I can show them. Don't be afraid to use your hands, it's okay. We're gonna do about 3 tablespoons of the filling, just like that. And I'm gonna do it towards como una quesadilla. So on one half of the masa, I'm going to do this, and I'm actually gonna bring it more up here. Just like that. So I'm gonna fold it. I need a fork for this. And a lot of people use their hands to close them up. And when my tita used to do, she would honestly use a fork. And then later in life, somebody gifted her like this little thingamajig. ¿Se acuerdan que tenía como una cosita que cerraba? Like a little clip that would, you have it? That closes up the empanadas. But honestly, I love how they look when they're all kind of different. I love those kind of recipes. They all have their unique. So look at that. La primera empanada, okay? And I'm going to continue to make the other one. Bring it over. Uf, el dulce de frijol, honestly, smells really good. I know it sounds weird. Like I get it, but it tastes really good. And she wouldn't decorate them. She would just serve them like this. I'll show you how they look at the end. But if you want to do a little bit, little dust of powdered sugar, you can definitely do that. Just make sure they're completely closed. See? And I'll show you one more because I want to show you how some people, estas son las empanaditas. I want to show you how some people actually close them with their hands. I don't think I'm that good when it comes to closing it with my hands. We needed some piñata hits music. Northgate has a really cool Christmas playlist that I always put on when I'm cooking. Piñata hits, I think it's called. Entonces mucha gente. So I've seen like abuelita pros. They go like this. They pinch it. I don't think I would. Okay, let me try again. This one's, so they kind of pinch them like this, like a ruffle. They kind of create a ruffle. Esto está muy feita. Sorry, tita. Okay, this one didn't, honestly, this one, okay, but some of them, they close them like this. Okay, so aquí tienes 3 empanaditas, okay, that we're going to fry. Who's ready? Who's ready to fry our empanadas? Before we move on to the, I'm gonna get my water boil. I'm gonna start boiling my water for my Café de Olla because my stove takes a little longer. But if you want to get started on that, it's 6. She says that's what she wants. 6 tazas, so 6 cups of water that I'm going to start to boil. Okay. And then I have empanadas. And
our oil needs to heat up a little bit more. Test it out. Yeah, it needs to be heated up a bit more. Any questions? I think the camera a little.
No, they look delicious.
Honestly, they're really good. Like growing up, I thought it was something super common in other households, but then I realized it wasn't. That it was something very special to our familia. So yeah. And then I later learned that it's a recipe from Baja California Sur, which was where my great grandmother's family came from. So immigrated to.
Can you bake them on
Okay, can you?
air fry?
You can definitely air fry them, and you can also bake them. If you're gonna air fry them, well, I haven't air fried them, but I'm pretty sure you can because I've seen other empanadas. But if you're gonna bake them, please brush them with a little oil, so they get nice and crispy. And for the air fryer, I think you can air fry them probably.
You want to see how long do you bake them? If you
I would bake them for about 30 to 35 minutes, 375. Voy a meter la primera empanada. I think I need it to be a little hotter. There it goes. Starting to bubble, you guys.
the other one.
Y vamos a meter la feita. Porque no importa. It's not the prettiest one, but it's gonna taste as good. Okay, and we're gonna work in batches, okay? This is canola oil, remember? You can also use avocado oil, which is gonna be a bit expensive if you're gonna waste it on frying these empanadas. But just don't use olive oil because it will leave a certain flavor that you don't want. So we're gonna cook them, and this needs to be a little hotter. But we're gonna cook them for about, I would say for about 3 minutes on each side. Because this takes a little. This needs to be way hotter. Okay.
Think of the piquete and everything.
Okay, the oil is getting hotter and hotter, so I maybe should have waited a little bit. Because I want them to be golden brown.
Somebody really likes your plates and they want to know if they're talavera plates.
They are talavera. Talavera from Puebla.
I'm gonna show them the plate.
The set decorator is going to show you the plate.
Nice.
Ya no muy blanquito. Pero porque el aceite. Sí, es que el aceite no está tan caliente.
Another one loves the plates.
But definitely the oil needed to be a little hotter, okay? Because I want to show you the final result.
Can you buy them here? No, they're from.
Why did you do that?
They're from Puebla.
They're from Puebla. That's what I said. Can you pass me Well, these continue to fry, because the oil need to be hotter. She's like, okay. Pues cómetela. Está poquito fría, okay? So these are my pitas empanadas, and this is what they're supposed to look like. Voy a tener que probar. Como si no las he probado. ¿Sí están buenas? You guys.
Delicioso. I need to try it.
This is the filling. After they're done cooking, trying in here. They're good.
I go back to my childhood.
She said idéntica, so that's a good thing.
Sí.
See? We're all getting a little sentimental over here. Okay. Hasta la feita va a estar buena. Okay, so make sure your oil is really, really hot before placing your empanadas. And you're gonna cook them for about 3 minutes on each side until they're golden brown, and they're gonna end up looking like this. No pasa nada si están un poquito más doraditas. Remember, color es sabor. Okay, color is flavor, you guys. This is what they're supposed to look like. Ooh. These empanadas con el café de olla piquete over here. She wants a piquete. Let's move on. Okay. Any questions before we move on to our café de olla, which I'm gonna dip my empanaditas in?
If you want to make mini, how big?
I would say half of the circle. Okay.
Isabella, so my little nephew is watching the class and he has my sister-in-law making frijoles, cooking frijoles.
Oh, really? That's so cute.
Yeah.
Frijoles. So this is I feel like Mexican household, we always have like frijoles de la olla laying around. Well, definitely in my house. This is a great one to have, just cook them in the slow cooker or in the Instant Pot, and then just turn them into dulce de frijol. Okay, so this is one ball of dough. And if you want to make minis, I would just say use half of that. They might be a little too small, but if you pin do them on the rolling pin, that would be good. So if you want to make them small, they're also really. She would make them this. Así las hacía de grandotas, ¿verdad?
We don't know why.
I don't know. I really don't. Maybe because it's faster, because you're cooking like in larger batches. That everybody ate 6 empanadas each. But I don't. Yeah, she would make them that big. That's how I remember them. But definitely, if they were mini, that would be so cute. Like you can actually like gift them and everything. Oh, and also another tip: you can also make the empanadas and do your filling, and then fold them and do it with a fork, and store them in an airtight container with a damp towel, and you can just cook them in a day or 2. Okay, so you can also prep, so that's good. And we're gonna move on to piquete. Ooh, and you can, if you want to sit down, you can sit down. Okay, moving on.
Can you bake them?
Yes, you can totally bake them. Just make sure you brush them with a little bit of oil before placing them in because that honestly, I feel like I know sometimes you want to bake things and not fry them, but I feel like the oil does give it a nice taste, and it does allow the dough to become crunchy because it is like a crunchier dough. So just brush them with a little bit of oil, and you can definitely do, like I said, grapeseed oil, avocado oil, canola oil. Yeah. And moving on, and I'm gonna leave these guys here. I'm gonna leave them on low because they're almost done. So when I'm done taking these out, I'll show you what I do, what I like to do, which is easy. I like to use this baking sheet with this rack, which is for a baking rack or a rack. And I just like to place them, instead of doing a damp paper towel, I just like to place them on here. And as you can see, all the oil and everything, it just goes to the bottom. So it's just an easy way of keeping track of your empanadas. Okay, remember, you can use this dough. Well, this dough has sugar, but you can, if you omit the sugar, you can use this dough for any, cualquier relleno salado, any of Northgate's, honestly, cocinas, guisados, like rajas or the barbacoa or anything like that would be amazing in this dough, because look at that dough. It's kind of like, pues como es de harina, it's kind of like a buñuelo. And it's really good. Okay, moving on to the fun part. I won't say the fun part, but moving on to the part that I know you guys are waiting. So let's move on. Okay. Entonces, bienvenidos a la esquina del piquete. No, just kidding. But I always do a salty on that side, and I always do drinks on this side. So I just feel like this is not the fun side, but this is the bar. Okay. So what I have going on here is it has 6 cups of water. Oh, and this is a piquete. This is a Café de Olla, which is a traditional Mexican coffee that we make year round, not necessarily on Christmas. I'm just gonna get rid of this little bean situation here. And this is a traditional coffee that we make in Mexico. It is a coffee that is normally made in a pot. That's why it's called olla. And it's and they also strain it sometimes with a clean sock. Don't get all with a le llaman café de calcetín, no? También. Así, well, that's what they call it sometimes. Here in Baja. Okay, so this is a spiced coffee, and why I call it piquete, or what piquete means. Piquete basically means that it's spiked. That's what it means, okay? So we're making a café de olla spiked, and we're gonna use Licor 43, which is a vanilla and herb liquor, which is delicious. And if you've tried a carajillo before, that's what the liquor they use. And we're gonna use good old fashioned Kahlua, because I love it. And it's already a coffee liqueur, okay? So we're gonna use those two to make our piquete, our café de olla con piquete. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add 1 piloncillo cone into the water. I'm going to add 1 star anise, because and they look like this. You can also find them, los puedes encontrar molidos. You can also find them ground, but I like to use the actual star anise. I'm only gonna use 1 because it's a strong taste and not everybody loves anise. And I am gonna use 2 cloves. Clavo. And I like to use the ones that are whole because we're gonna strain this anyway. Okay, and I'm going to add 2 rajitas, or 2 cinnamon sticks in here. And then I'm going to add an orange peel, okay? In here. I'm gonna allow the piloncillo to dissolve, and then I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of ground coffee, okay? Just like this. Remember, I bought all my ingredients on my local Northgate. You can find everything there, and I'm just gonna go get a wooden spoon to stir out. I'm just gonna stir this. You can see, ooh, it smells so good. The little cone is gonna get thinner, and it's gonna finally dissolve. So this on its own already smells delicious. Imagine adding those 6 tablespoons of coffee. And I like to bring it to a boil. I have my little sous chef with me. Is this chungkun?
What kind of coffee are you using?
I'm actually using Dunkin' Donuts dark roast ground coffee. So that's the one that I'm using, but you can use any, I like to use dark roast because we're gonna add sugar, and we're gonna add liquor, and we're gonna add other flavors that you also don't want. ¿Estás quedando dormido, mijito? ¿Estás quedando dormido? Bye. you don't want the coffee to actually, like, no quieres que el café se pierda. So you don't want the coffee to not taste like coffee, okay? So I like to use a darker roast. So it's just a dark roast. Basically, that was my whole explanation to tell you that this was a dark roast ground coffee. So just like that. Oof. This out of the way. That smells so good. Okay, so the piloncillo has dissolved, and I'm going to add my 6 tablespoons of dark roast coffee. Ground coffee, please. And we're gonna allow this to boil and cook for about 5 minutes. So we're gonna allow it to boil, and then we're gonna let it simmer for about 5 to 8 minutes, I would say. And then we're going to strain it. What's your favorite holiday drink, guys? This is one of my favorites. I also have a really good one that's coming up, my last class, which is December 13th. And then I also have a clase de tamales on Tuesday, which is gonna be atole. You like atole? ¿A ti qué te gusta?
Ponche navideño.
Ponche. Ooh, the ponche we made last year in the classes for Northgate was amazing.
Champurrado.
Champurrado, a ti?
Champurrado.
Champurrado. And champurrado, oh no, last year I made atole de guayaba. It was so good. I've never tried it before. I've honestly never made atole, and it was really good.
Eggnog martini.
Ooh, I love eggnog. I love eggnog. And I also have one of my classes, we're gonna make an horchata margarita. So stay tuned. Yeah. I love horchata, and I honestly, I'm a big fan of eggnog. I have an eggnog cheesecake recipe that I might share this year.
It's like rompope.
It's rompope, ajá.
Wow, that sounds good.
Yeah, and it's really easy to make. Well, it's a cheesecake. It's different. The flavor profile is a little different. So my café de olla has started to boil. Oh my God, this smells so good. It smells so good. You can, and if you don't want to spike it, it's fine. This is a great café de olla recipe anyway, okay? If you don't want to spike it, si no quieren andar todas en la mañana. Y sí, no pasa nada. Sábado, Saturday, we need that little piquete. This is also great too. If you duplicate this recipe, you can get more, and you can have it like in a hot, one of those hot pitchers, or where you store coffee, like one of those, what are they called? Oh, where you store, un termo.
Thermos.
Thermos. Well, whatever. The point is that you can make like double this batch and have it in your next posada and serve it hot. Always have it like in a hot container. Okay, so that started to boil. And I'm gonna serve it in my tacitas that I buy at Northgate that I love because they're heat resistant and they're also barro, and which is traditionally that's where café de olla is served, is in barro. So these are clay barro chorreado mugs that I buy at Northgate. Oof, the smells, the empanadas de frijol dulce, the café de olla. Vamos a ir abriendo nuestras botellas. So este es licor 43. Ooh, vanilla and other herbs, other flavors. Kahlua. I always have Kahlua in my house because I like to bake a lot with it, and especially during the holidays. So that's always a staple in my party cart. Okay. I also love winter sangria. I make a white sangria with pomegranate. That's what I love. It's like, it has winter flavors. So I'm gonna turn this off. And if you, the longer you leave it, like it's ready to go because it's already cooked and it tastes like all these flavors, but the longer you let it steep, the more flavors that you will have, okay? But I wanna show you the situation and I wanna have it hot, okay? So I'm just gonna strain this into my pitcher and then so I can serve it. So I'm gonna make this. Oh, that smells amazing, you guys. Uf, calientito, delicioso. Now for the fun part. We're going to add 5 ounces of Kahlua and 3 ounces of Licor. Okay, you guys? So this is 2 ounces. Uy. Anda borracha, no es cierto. Clean up before I continue. To do 3 of Licor 43. Oof. Yes. I'm just gonna stir. Clean up and stir. Huele. So I'm gonna use the spoon to stir. You can definitely add a little bit of milk if you want and make yourself a café or a latte. Just gonna try a little bit. Ooh. Ooh. That's really good. Like really, really good. Okay. And I didn't have my coffee this morning because I knew I was gonna have some of this. So I'm gonna serve in here. Oh, cafecito. Ooh. It's a mess. Qué rico. Señora Piquete. Okay, and we're gonna garnish. They're bad for the piquete with a little cinnamon stick. Está la señora. Y voy por abajo. Empanadas de frijol dulce de la tita Esther. Café, está caliente, ¿eh? Café de olla con piquete. I'm actually gonna dip this in here. Muy rico. Wow. These two together. Amazing.
Salud.
What a great Saturday morning. Thank you for having us. Thank you for joining.
Nice to meet you.
Any
Aw. Thank you so much, Isabella, for inviting us to your home and allowing us to cook with your mom and your grandma. This was awesome experience. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a very special class. Remember, if you make this recipe, tag me, tag Northgate. My handle is @Isabella M. Funke, Funkke. Instagram, tag us. We love to see when you guys cook our recipes. It's amazing. Honestly, this class was very emotional and very special to me, and I'm gonna hold it very dear to my heart. Thank you for joining. And salud por la piquete y sus empanadas.
Salud y muchas gracias. Que se repita.
Because I had tamales de birria en su jugo and tamales de guayaba con cajeta. Tamales
Ooh.
class, you guys. Tuesday, 6 p.m.
See you. Hasta luego.
Salud. Happy Saturday.
Bye.